Okay, quick video. We're going to do a kind of a side video here. 2015 Subaru WRX, and I need to remove the steering wheel. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of how to do it to save you time, because I watched a different instructional video and it took me like an hour to get the steering wheel off. But I figured out a way to actually do it in like 10 minutes. But the first thing you have to do to remove the steering wheel is you got to get this blasted thing off your horn/airbag device. First things first, remove your battery cables. Disclaimer, if you blow your face off, it's not my fault, because you work on your own car. But what we're going to do is turn the key. I'm going to take this guy and we're going to turn it up. On the Subarus, from what I know, there's going to be like a hole right here, right in there. And there's gonna be another one here and then another one on the side. Now the two holes in the steering wheel on the side, I have discovered, are absolutely useless. So what I'm gonna do is take the steering wheel, turn it upside down, push the steering column down and lock it to hold it in place for me. And here's how we're gonna remove the airbag assembly. If you go in through the hole up top, you can actually, I'm gonna try to get the video here. It's gonna be a little difficult because I have absolutely no room for my head or face or eyeballs. But once you find the hole, you can actually just go in there, and there's a little pin that you can push up on and disconnect the first pin. So I have to put the camera off to the side just because I literally cannot get my head in there. But you'll push the steel, you'll see it, you'll put a little push steel pin, and now that has come loose, which is great. But if you try to go in from the side, like, there is just, at least from what I've seen on the WRX, there is just no way to get to that steel pin. Like, I could not figure it out. The guys had like a 2017, I think you can do it, but on the 15, I've noticed it's impossible. I'm gonna take this guy and just gently pry on it like this. I'm gonna try to catch the video. But what I can do is try to help you out. Is you'll look down in there, and even the camera might not see it, but if you use your eyeballs, you'll be able to look down in there and see where like the other two retaining pins are. Again, it's almost impossible to see with the camera, but if you use your eyes and do it yourself, you will be able to do it. But I'm gonna put the camera up here for a second. Again, I apologize, the video is a little rough, but you'll just look down in there. Again, pry up on the steering wheel. It's pretty strong, you're not going to break it. And you can actually look down in there, you'll see a little silver pin inside of a square hole. You go down in there, pop that one, and then you find the other little square hole. Move some wires out of the way here. And then you pop that one. It's a regular flathead is all you need. I'll do that. And, oh crap, sorry. There, it's out. Now, you're probably going to ask, okay, well, how did you do that? With the steering wheel off, I can now show you. So this guy, here's my screwdriver. See it right here? See that? There's the first one, right? That's the first pin that pops off. And here, you'll stick your screwdriver and do that. Slip it up behind your airbag, and you weasel it like that, right? What I'm going to show you is if you go through a little factory hole on the side here, like there's just absolutely no way, unless you had like a fancy shaped tool of some special design. Like, I've seen little pry bars, but even then the heads are too wide and you can't see the pin from the hole at all. What I've discovered is, since this thing sits on little spring-loaded pieces here, you pry the airbag sensor back, and you can get, like, take your screwdriver, kind of go at an angle, and just do that, and it pops right off. If you want to remove the wiring, this is easy enough. You take your screwdriver, and you just pry that up. And we'll go all the way down to the clock spring as well. So take those guys, just pry them up, grab them, wiggle them a little bit, and they'll come out. Do that. Oh, do that. And then there's your airbag, and you've got the nut, which this is pre-loosened. Take the nut, you'll take the steering wheel, give it a yank, that'll pop loose, and Actually, I think what I'm going to do first is go ahead and recenter the steering wheel. So I'll do that first. Recenter it. Here we go. Take that off, and really at that point you just got a few wires you'll have to fight through and unplug. Same thing with the airbag, and if you can't unplug a wire, you shouldn't be doing any of this, but you'll unplug some wires and things, and you remove that little nut, and then this guy pops off. And then to remove the clock spring plastic panel, I removed it. There's literally just 2 screws, Phillips head. There's nothing else you got to do. And you've got some wires here that you can unplug, so if you want to, you can basically carefully just kind of pull up on that by taking these little tabs. You pop that one, and you pop this tab little here. There's another little tab up here you pop, and now your clock spring is out. So take that, and there you go. Now your clock spring is removed. And you can pop all your wires off if you've got a broken clock spring or a broken steering wheel position sensor. You can replace either of those. Be mindful, the reason I have this thing apart again is I replaced the clock spring because the ribbon broke, and I guess I didn't have it centered right or something, so then the car got angry at me through like 30 million codes because I didn't have it centered. So be mindful to have it centered. So what I have learned, I'll set the camera down real quick. I'll prop this back up. Is there seems to be 4 turns on these clock springs, and I'll show you how. So I just snapped it back in, but I'll go 1, 2, and at 2 1/4, I start to feel some resistance. You never want to force it. So I'll go back to here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a little bit of pushback, so that I know if I bring it back up and go 1, 2, it'll be centered. And one thing to be mindful of is attached behind the clock spring is the steering wheel position sensor. And I'm actually going to find out whether or not it's correct. But you've got to have the steering wheel position sensor in the right position as well as the clock spring, or you throw a million codes. And then you have to have the dealership reset the computer. And I'm honestly probably still going to have to go to the dealership because, as I've learned, some of this stuff is not plug and play. So even if you replace everything yourself, you'll save the $600 of the labor, but you still have to have the ECU flashed or whatever it is the dealership does with their magical proprietary software. But honestly, if you know the trick of how to get the pins separated, you can have the steering wheel off in 10 minutes. If you don't know, like I didn't know at first, it took me like an hour. So if you got any questions, I'll try to answer them. I'm not a Subaru expert at all, but there's tons of people who know that kind of stuff. But feel free to leave a question in the comments if you need to know something, and until we meet again, stay gold.